Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with the gynoecium or pistil. Okay, so it is a innermost female reproductive wall which is present in the flower. I think you already have studied or seen the previous video lecture where I have explained you the floral whorls. Okay, so the different floral whorls like calyx, corolla, endoecium and gynoecium is a main part of the flower. So that all floral whorls have been categorized in essential whorl, okay, and the accessory whorl. If you remember, I have told you that accessory whorls are calyx and corolla, while the essential whorls include endoecium and gynoecium. So the endoecium and gynoecium are known as essential because they are very important, or they are playing important role in sexual reproduction in the flowering plant, as they produces gametes, male and female gamete. Okay, so endoecium, that is stamen, I already told that it is having the anther, filament and connective. So the anther produces pollen grain which act as a male gametophyte. And finally I explain you about how the male gametes they develop in the pollen grain. So that all we have done with the male part or the endoecium part. So it's now we are going to start with the female part or the female reproductive whorl known as pistil. Okay, so let us start with the pistil. Yes, now as you can see, the gynoecium or the pistil part, it consists of stigma, style and ovary. So this is a stigma, the style and ovary. Okay, so all these three part is very important, as all this thing helps for the fertilization process. So the stigma is the uppermost part, style is in between part and ovary is a lowermost portion. Okay, now this is a diagrammatic view where you can see the stigma and the style and finally the ovary. So remember, the stigma is sticky in nature and they are terminal part which is receptor, or I can say it is a receiving part for pollen grain. They catches the pollen and also they are acting as a platform so that the pollen can land on it after pollination process. So remember, whatever facilities is required to germinate the pollen grain is all provided by this stigma. Okay, coming to the next part, the style, which is just below to the stigma. So you can see this style is elongated and tubular portion. So this style act as a pathway for the germinated pollen. Like pollen tube can enter from this style and can reach inside the ovarian chamber so that the fertilization can done. Okay, and last part is a ovary. So ovary is a basal portion. This part is the ovary in which the ovules are present. And finally, you know that ovule is a part in which the embryo sac they develop. Okay, so embryo sac is a part which is a female gametophyte, which is one of the most important part. This is what about the stigma, style and ovary. Now next is the pistil or the gynoecium part. This is an individual pistil and you can see it is external view, but this part is an internal view. So LS of pistil has been taken. What is LS? It is a longitudinal section so that internally we can see how exactly the pistil looks like. So this is the ovary part where you can see the ovules, the small ovule. You can see it has been attached in the placenta. Okay, so this placenta is a parenchymatous in nature where these ovules they get attached by a small outgrowth of the stalk called as a funicle. Okay, so remember, in different fruits or different plant ovary, the placentation or the arrangement of ovule inside the ovary may differ. Okay, so that already you have studied in a 11th standard. 11th standard in the morphology of flowering plant. Okay, so let us go further. Yeah, next, the carpel can fuse together. Okay, now remember, I am again and again repeating the pistil word for gynoecium. So what exactly the pistil is and what is a carpel? Okay, there is a confusion. So you can see here the gynoecium is all female part, we can call it as a complex term, while the single is called as a pistil, which consists of stigma, style and ovary. But the pistil may have one carpel or many carpel. Okay, so whenever there is a one carpel, the condition is called as a monocarpellary, and when there is a two, it is bicarpellary. If it is three, it is a tri, and if it is more, it is called as a poly. Okay, so remember, pistil, it is a one, but when the pistil may have one or more carpel. Here you can see in this diagram one pistil and one carpel. Here three pistil individually freely and three carpels are there, but here one pistil in which you can see the stigma has shown the freely arrangement while the ovary have been fused. So here the carpel, or when we take the section of ovary, you can see the section like this. Okay, they are having the three chambers, so they are tricarpellary position condition. Okay, so this is a part. Next, now the apocarpus ovary and syncarpus ovary, or you can call sometime it as a apocarpus gynoecium or syncarpus gynoecium. What exactly these apocarpus and syncarpus is? So just remember that when there is a one carpel, the condition is called as a monocarpellary. So when there is only one carpel, there is no arrangement like free or fused, because it is only one. Okay, only the question for fusion or freeness arrangement is when there are many carpels. Okay, so when there is more than two carpel, the carpels may be fused or may be freely present. So according to which the name has been given apo and syncarpus. So apocarpus ovary or the apocarpus gynoecium means the gynoecium when it consists of two or more carpel, and all those are free. Okay, even the number of ovary are many, like two or more, and in such ovary the ovules locule are only one. It is only one unilocular condition is there, and at maturity stage this ovary will going to form fruitlets of aggregate fruit form, like example custard apple, but this is the example of Michelia gynoecium. Okay, so this is about the apocarpus ovary. Now coming to the next part, syncarpus ovary or the syncarpus gynoecium. So here the gynoecium is again many, carpel are many, like two or more, but they are fused. They are in a fused form. So the number of ovary you can see it is only one. The ovary may be uni or multilocular, but on maturity it will be a simple fruit. Like a tomato, I can give you example of syncarpus ovary. Okay, but this is example of poppy plant. Okay, so this is about the syncarpus and apocarpus. Again I'm telling you, when there is a single carpel it is monocarpellary, but when it is more, the question may arise like either if it should be in a free or it may be in a fused form. So whenever it is in a free form it is called as a apo, and when they are in a fused form they are called as a syncarpus. Okay, so next is a again LS of pistil. Now this diagram again I am showing you just because this is the ovary part in which you can see the ovules, and now here number of ovules you can see, but now we are going to study about the single ovule. What are the structure, what is the structure of single ovule, what are the different parts of it, and including its function. Okay, so let us see the structure of ovule. So the ovule is also called as megasporangium. Okay, which shows the different parts like micropyle, nucellus, funicle, placenta, integument, hilum, chalaza, and even many more things. But today we are only going to focus on those parts which I have underlined, because this part is the part of embryo sac. Okay, so this embryo sac is 7-celled 8-nucleated structure which act as a female gametophyte. But how this all embryo sac structure has been developed, that I'm going to explain you in a next video lecture. So just skip this part. We are only going to see the structure or the parts which is underlined for today. Okay, so starting with the micropyle. The micropyle, you can see it is a small opening. Okay, so it is a small opening or the aperture through which the pollen tube can get enters and can reach in the embryo sac for fertilization process. So I can see the micropyle is a small opening which give entry to the pollen tube. That is a function of micropyle. Okay, next you can see the placenta. So the placenta here is the parenchymatous tissue through which entire ovule is attached to the ovary. Okay, So that's what the placenta is. Even I can say the placenta being parenchymatous in nature, they are providing nourishment to the ovule. Okay, the next part is funicle. Funicle, you can see this part is a stalk. So it is a stalk through which the body of ovule, they are attached to the placenta. Okay, so that is a funicle. Next part you can see is a hilum. So hilum is a point of attachment. See here, it is a point of attachment through which the funicle and body of ovule has been attached. Okay, so that is hilum. Now one more thing is there which is very important, but it has not been given here, but still I'm just telling you, remember this part. This entire part is called as a raphe. Okay, this is a raphe. So that raphe is actually an extension or continuation line with this funicle and entire ovule. So this raphe is protection or it is protective or giving protection, mechanically protection or support to the entire body of ovule. Okay, so that's what the raphe is. And next part is integument. Yes, you can see the integument part. Integument is actually the protective covering of the ovule, where you can see there are two layers, this one layer and two layer, so they are called as a bi-layered integument. So basically you have to remember that in many ovule there are only single integument, so that time the condition is called as a unitegmic. But in some of them, if there is a two layer of integument, they are called as a bitegmic. So remember, in most of the angiospermic ovule, the condition is bitegmic, where two layers are present. So you know that as it is covering, so definitely they are going to protect the entire part. Okay, so that's what the function of integument is. But you can see it is not continuous because micropyle is present. Okay, so it is not in continuation, as here the small opening is present for coming pollen tube. Okay, so just inner to this integument you can see this entire part called as nucellus. Okay, this part nucellus. So again the nucellus is central part in which the embryo sac is present, and this nucellus is also parenchymatous in nature, which provide nutrient to the developing embryo sac. Okay, so next part is a chalaza. You can see the chalaza. It is a portion which is always present opposite to the micropyle. See, this is a micropyle, and just opposite you can see the chalaza is present. Okay, so that is the different parts which is present in the ovule. Now remember, I have told you this part you have to remember. Okay, I will continue in the next video lecture, but just remember that the central portion is having the embryo sac in which the antipodals are present, secondary nucleus is present, synergids are there, and egg is present, which is a main part as it is a female gamete with which the coming male gamete will going to fuse to form a zygote. Okay, but the developmental entire development and function of individual cell I'm going to explain you in a next video lecture. Okay, so one more thing I want to see you that this is a structure of anatropous ovule. Anatropous ovule means you can see here the funicle and entire ovule body has been bent in such a way that the micropyle and funicle is very close with each other. They are very adjacent. But it's not important that in all the plants the ovule is like this only. There are different kinds of ovule. You have to remember. Okay, so here you can see the different kinds of ovule. See the types of ovule. Okay, but remember, even if there are many types, but in angiospermic plant the most commonly found ovules are the anatropous ovule, which I have shown just now. Okay, so the types of ovule, actually when you see the name, it is quite difficult to remember, but you can remember it by hint. I will just tell you it. Orthotropous. So you can see orthotropous is like a straight ovule body. Okay, now just see, ortho means what? It is the erect or the straight. Okay, so remember three things here. To remember entire name and structure of the ovule, you have to just see and focus on three things. First is integument. Okay, sorry, not integument, it is a funicle, that is stalk. And next is a chalaza, and finally a micropyle. These three things you have to see and then you will be able to easily remind all these things along with the structure, the name and structure. Okay, so coming to the orthotropous, ortho means straight. So when the micropyle, chalaza end and the funicle, everything is in a straight line, you can call it as a orthotropous ovule. As ortho means always a straight and erect, so when it is erect in a single line, it is known as orthotropous ovule. Okay, now next is anatropous. Already I have explained with the anatropous that this is a stalk of the funicle, and the body of ovule has been bent in such a way that micropyle will very close to the funicle. So this is called as anatropous ovule. Next is a hemianatropous. It's very easy to remember because you can compare this hemitropous ovule with orthotropous and anatropous. Ortho is a straight, okay, when you see up it is straight, but when you bend your face it's like anatropous. But when you are not totally up and not totally you are bending your face, you are just in a side position. Okay, so that is called as a hemitropous ovule. Or one more hint I can give you, see here the funicle is a like in one position, and you can see the micropyle and chalaza is very perpendicular to the funicle, and it makes a right angle, 90-degree angle here. Okay, so this is how you can remember the hemitropous ovule. And next is a campylotropous. Campylotropous is again very easy to remember because you can see this is a part where integument or the body of ovule have been curved. पूरी तरह से वो curve हो चुका है, ठीक है. So that part such part is called as a campylotropous. And finally second last is an amphitropous. Remember amphitropous. Amphi means what? When two things is present, like when you say amphibian plants, the example is the bryophytes. So finally the bryophytes, they survive on the land as well as on water, in water. Okay, so when we say it survive in both, yani ki both the thing, so it is an amphi. So here also you have to remember something which is in a two in number. So the body of ovule has been curved, and also the embryo sac has been curved. You can see here it has not been shown any curvedness. Okay, but in the amphitropous the embryo sac also become curved. Okay, so both the ovule body as well as embryo sac, when they curve, they called as a amphitropous ovule. And the last part is a cercinotropous. It's very most easy to remember because you just can see cercino means cercinate, like they are very curl or rolling like a snake. So just imagine that I am pushing this funicle so that the body of ovule पूरी तरह से inwardly bend हो चुका है, inwardly. Okay, so like snake they have been curled, which is called as a cercinate. So it is called as cercinotropous ovule. Okay, I hope you understood all these things. And yeah, one more thing you have to remember, that embryo sac structure is yet to explain, but I will be explaining it in a next video lecture.